call it? I killed it, and now I'm like, it's dead body. It's there. I have to deal
Oh
with
my
it. No one's gonna come clear it for me because I'm the only one here. You know what I mean? Hi everyone, I'm Tiff. Today I have with me Tara and Jaz. Hi.
Hello.
Yeah, so as you can see, we have new backgrounds. Really cute. Tara and Jaz designed it. So what does mine say?
Studied overseas.
Studied overseas. Yes. Okay. So that brings us to today's topic. So last week was the very first episode of our podcast, and we started with talking about whether grades and qualifications actually matter a lot. But we decided to continue the topic about education. But this week, since Tara and Jaslyn are finishing their polytechnic studies soon, and they're considering further studies, and that I've been through further studies, that I could actually share about my experience, and they can ask me questions, and then maybe the viewers who are listening could also take away something from this session. So specifically because I went overseas for my university, that today's topic will be about studying abroad and whether is it really better? Question mark. Yeah. So, but before we get started with today's episode, we're gonna hear a message from our sponsor. We have sponsors. Just kidding, we don't. But so if we haven't been already catching up, we have an ongoing giveaway or competition, specifically more so for budding creators. It's called Creators Hunt. So basically, all you need to do is like our social posts on Instagram, Facebook, or YouTube, watch our videos, answer a question that we'll put in the video, and then you stand a chance to win fantastic prizes that will really, really help you to make good quality videos. Okay, so for this month, you will stand a chance to win the road mic this month. You just need to follow us on Instagram and look out for our latest posts to find out what to do for the week. Okay, so I mean, I don't know what you're doing. If I were able to do it, I would do it every week diligently because the prizes are really, really great, right?
Yeah. And it's so simple, so fast. We just tap a comment and done.
Exactly. It's so easy. It's just a click of a button and then you get to win fantastic prizes. If you're a budding creator, it really helps you out. So, okay, that's it for our sponsor message. Let's carry on. All right. So, back to the topic about further studies and university. Tara and Jaz, what are your considerations for your further studies?
Like right now, I'm not really sure what I want to do, but I've applied to one uni already, an overseas uni, so I'm just waiting to hear back. But in terms of local unis, I'm still trying to figure out what I want to do, because the university that I applied to overseas has an undecided program where you go in undecided. So I think that's better for me because I don't need to decide exactly what major I want to do, which is the part that's stressing me out.
I feel you. How about Jaz?
For me, I really don't know what am I going to do. I'll probably take a gap year before deciding on uni and what unis to go to. Because currently my GPA is on the lower side, so it's harder to go into a local university because GPAs are quite important. It's most of them are 3.6, 3.7, which is hard for me to get in. Yeah. So I'm considering whether to go a private U in Singapore or go overseas to study. Yeah.
Good. Okay.
You decide which country and which uni you want to apply to. What was the decision-making process?
I mean, I totally understand you guys mentioning how you don't know what to do next. So before I even started to decide, okay, for context, I forgot to say this, but for context, I went overseas to study, but specifically I went to Melbourne to pursue a degree in media and communications and screen studies. It's really long. I don't want to say it, but okay. Yeah. So before I even considered doing all that, obviously you have to think about what you want to study, right? And I have Actually, a lot of friends I have actually did take a gap year. Actually, I took a gap year. What? I took a gap year like unwillingly because I was just waiting for offers to come in for university. I say it like everyone wants me, but no, I was just busy applying and then you need to wait. Okay, you need to wait for offers to come in. So I ended up taking a gap year before I went for uni. So actually, I think it's perfectly fine. Like a lot of people like are afraid of taking that time off to think about what they want to do. But firstly, you must think really hard and really deep about what you want to do next because it's going to take up next like 3 4 years of your life, which is a long time. Okay, at a very prime age. So really take your time to decide, and it costs a lot also. So don't just go into a degree without thinking through and then regretting afterwards. It's not cheap. So yeah, that's what I did first. Really think about what I want to study. I did have a bit of a crisis like everyone, but eventually I decided to take a communications degree because I wanted to work in a field like maybe marketing or media in the media or in the arts, like in the creative sector. Okay. So it made sense to want to pursue a comms degree. And then after you decide what you want to do, obviously you decide where to go. And so at first, I applied to local unis, but it's very difficult to get in. But anyway, I really wanted to go overseas for a long time. Yeah. So when you decide about where like specific location you want to go, you think about like, do you have like a dream, like a specific location you want to go? Most people I know actually do. Like they've been thinking of going to this specific country for a long time. So that's very easy for them to make a decision. They're like, I want to go there anyway. So just apply to university there. But for me, I don't have a specific place I wanted to go. I just know I wanted to study abroad. And I wanted to so anywhere is fine, right? Because it's just studying abroad. Because I wanted like independent life and I wanted to experience it in a different country. Because it's not something you can easily get. Like you don't just easily get an independent life in Singapore unless you go to public uni and you live in a hall. Or you rent, which is a very different story about renting. Yeah. So I knew I wanted to just pack up and go. So about where I want to go. Obviously, I wanted to go to somewhere where I didn't have to learn another language, but I also didn't want to go somewhere where I had to study my entire degree in Mandarin. So I was only left with English, right? Like, sure, I can
That's
go to
too
like
hard.
Taiwan or I can go to China, but no, I cannot do my entire degree and write essays in Chinese. Like, no. So I was left with English-speaking countries, and the popular hotspots for that is the US, Canada, UK, and Australia. So one big thing for me was like finances, right? So I cut out like US and Canada because their tuition fees are exorbitant. Like it's so expensive. Just tuition fees alone, not the cost of living or anything. I think it's about like 40K a year upwards. And I'm only taking a arts degree. Imagine if you were to take like medicine or law. So nah. So I'm left with UK and Australia. My first choice was actually UK. For some reason, I was super enamored by the idea of going there to study for no logical reason. I've never been there. I don't know what it's like. I don't know. The idea of it is like nice. So I picked the UK, and then I applied to universities there. But I also ended up applying to Australia because I didn't want to limit myself just like so quickly yet, right? I wanted to have a lot of options and then pick one. So I think that's one thing you should try. Just apply to everywhere because you can just reject them anyway in the end. You can just like see what you are able to go for and
I
then
think some
really pick the
people like,
best.
because American universities, I don't know if this is like if it's like this for the other places, but I know American universities, some of them have an application fee, which can be like 80 USD, which is like 100 plus Singapore dollars. So I think that's something like per school.
Mm.
So you have to
Yeah.
like think about that also.
there's definitely application fees. I spend quite a bit on application fees because, like a typical Singaporean, them kiasu, I applied to places even though I know I wouldn't go there. Just so that I have the option. So, like, okay, I'll talk about the UK. So in the UK, they have a system where you have to apply through. You cannot apply to universities like individually. So what I did was I ruled out locations that I know I can't go, like London, because it's so expensive. So I had to look outside of London, like Edinburgh or Sheffield. And then after I ruled out the locations, I went to the top like universities ranking list. And then
Yeah,
I
that's smart.
shouldn't say this. Okay, no, really. The university rankings shouldn't matter much. But when you don't have a lot of considerations, like there's nothing else I can use to differentiate initially between the programs because the comms degree is mostly the same everywhere. Then I just started right from the list. So I looked at the top 10 and then I went to do my research. So this is applicable for any country you go, right? So when you do your research, firstly you have to look at the program, obviously. Look at the program, does it suit what you want to learn? And then like check the subjects and the modules, like read the modules. I know it's like super detailed, but you have to. It's like the next few years of your life, you have to like really do your homework. So once you've done that, then you consider other things like clubs and activities, basically your student life. So at first I didn't really like think too hard about that, but after being there I realized that actually it may seem very trivial, but then things like that are what makes your student life there great. So look at the school, what kind of like events, activities, and any clubs that are in line with your hobbies. So go and have a look at that. And then accommodation. So after like school things aside will be accommodation. What accommodations options you have, and then also obviously cost of living. Go and count, go and search, do your homework, do the math, see how much it'll cost you to stay there. Then that's how I make my decision to apply to whatever university in the UK and Australia. And then eventually I went with Australia because the program and everything was better because they offered me a 2-year course. So for us polytechnic students, we can get certain exemptions at certain universities in certain places. So what I recommend everyone to do if you were to apply to universities abroad would be to just write in and ask for an exemption. So
You can check because I know for SP where Jaz and I are at, they have an advanced standing list, so you can go like to student e-services, I think, and you can get the advanced standing list. So they'll tell you what uni, which country, and how many years you get off for like you can get like for that uni.
Yeah, definitely make use of your poly resources because I can't remember if I used mine. I should have. But then I just applied anyway, and they would write in and tell you, oh, we'll offer you this program, how many years you take to do it. So definitely check that out. That's the plus point of going to poly because you already spent an extra year at school. You might as well make advantage of it, So yes, do that. And then I eventually went with Australia because they were able to give me the course in 2 years. Initially it was 2.5. And then I wrote in to ask for more, and then I got 2 years off. So definitely just write in, no harm doing. If they say no, it's a no, whatever. Yeah. And then, that's how I did my research.
So how do you deal with the financial side of things? Was there like student loans and stuff that you could take?
Okay. Yeah, the big question is always like whether you can afford to study abroad. There are student loans. There are bank loans from Singapore, like Singaporean bank giving students a loan to study overseas, but the interest rate is pretty high. So you really need to like sit down with your parents and like work out the math and then see if you're willing to take up the huge financial burden, which will burden you for the next 10 years of your life or less lah, hopefully less, but if not, then about there. Yes. So obviously I have to consider a lot of things. like sit down with your parents and like talk and do the math when I left. And eventually, because my course was 2 years, so I was able to like it was more affordable than going to, for example, the UK, which I wanted to go initially because their courses were 3 years and 4. So that's something you can consider if you really can't afford it. Go for a shorter course. Then you need to count cost of living most importantly, because accommodation and like student tuition fees can be calculated very easily, right? But cost of living is like very dependent on the individual. So what I did was I went to ask other people who firstly, I go on forums like Reddit and all that, listen to what people
Yeah.
actually say, not what the internet calculated. You know how like they calculate Singapore's cost of living and it's like so high, but they include costs like car. You don't need a car to get around here, So you want to hear it from the people. I went to ask people I know, peers who have been there or is studying there, and then ask about things like uh, on average how much it will cost, and also if they're able to find a job like work part-time, and how much they will earn from the part-time job, because I was thinking of using that to make up for the heavy cost of living. So those are the things you need to consider: how much money is going out, how much money is coming in, and how much money can come from your parents before you have to take a loan. Basically that's it. And then most importantly, you have to decide for yourself if you are willing to take up this huge like financial burden. If like for me, I'm burdening my parents and then I will be forever indebted to them. So you have to think about it. And if you are indebted to a bank, you really have to think very hard about it. So I won't make it sound like it's so nice and easy when in actual fact it's not. Not everyone can easily afford it.
But I heard that, I mean, I know there are quite a few scholarships you can get, but I like government scholarships. But I think the thing about that is that there's a bond, so you have to come back and you have to work for them for a few years.
Yeah.
So
Sorry, I forgot about the scholarship and student help and everything. So basically, there is in every university there's some form of like help for students who need like financial help. Usually we will not be able to get that in like universities overseas, especially in countries like Australia, the UK, America, for example. I'm not sure, is it because like we come from like a developed country or something, because usually when I was looking for that, obviously I saw that there were a lot for students who come from underdeveloped countries, which is like fair. So what we have is just very, very prestigious scholarships for really outstanding students. That's the scholarship that comes from the university. Then in Singapore, as you mentioned, it's the scholarships that with bond. So think about it. The option is there, but it's also very competitive. So, and then yes, there's a bond that is a good 6 years or so. So think long and hard about it if you want to go for bonded scholarships. And if you're not an outstanding student, I would say it's very difficult to get financial aid or some form of like money coming in to help your tuition fees lah. Yeah. For your uni, was there any like scholarships or like financial aid available for?
yeah, that's actually like one of the reasons why I chose this uni, because they are quite generous with the financial aid. So I applied for that. So if I get in, then I'll be able to see like how much financial aid I can get. So,
Where was the uni again that you're looking at?
the uni I applied was NYU in Abu Dhabi, because I think specifically Abu Dhabi gives good financial aid. But if you're talking about NYU in America, I don't think the financial aid is that good.
Yeah.
That's why.
Oh, but it's very fortunate that there's an NYU in Abu Dhabi.
Yeah, there's one in Shanghai also.
Yeah. So if you're willing to consider options outside of like the UK and Australia.
Mm.
Look for countries like that who offer way more financial aid, because the reality is a lot of students who go to the UK, the US, and Australia, they are loaded. Okay, I can tell you they
Yeah.
are loaded.
Yeah,
Oh
I
my
know.
god. Uh, just
It's so
looking at
much per semester, and like the pay,
Yeah.
then the accommodation is like a lot also. If you like rent, if you stay in the dorms there, it's so expensive. Because
Like I was watching this girl who
100%.
was going to NYU in New York, and she had to pay like 75K a year or something. I was like, like
Yeah.
what?
Yeah. American tuition fees are crazy. Do not. I mean, I get it because their universities are like a bit on the ranking list. They are up there, but then is it really worth the difference in like tuition fees? That one I don't know. So where was I? When I was deciding like for my options, right, there weren't a lot of difference in fees. Like it was standard 30-ish K a year for tuition fees.
Mm.
Yeah, in the UK and Australia. So you have to really just think about it. If you do a 3-year course, how much it will cost just on tuition alone. Yeah. So you have to look at the options you have and then um cry for the next few years of your life maybe.
Yeah.
Okay, we shall go to that after, like whether it was worth all the money. Okay.
Let's just go on to an slightly less sad topic.
Less depressing topic. Did I just make the whole podcast really depressing? Because that's the most depressing side of it. Like it's just money. Everything else is like butterflies and like everything's
Yeah.
nice and fun.
I think there was a problem with because I also I want to go to uni overseas, but then it's like ugh, the money is just way
Yeah, I
too.
recommend you to also apply to areas, places like Australia where they can offer you a 2-year course. Then it would still cost a lot, but then it would cost less than many other places. Most universities do a full 3-year course or 4-year course. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
You know
also
they
think about
have
whether you
like
can find a job.
this program, right, where you can just go in after secondary school because we have O levels, right? Then they let you go in for like in Singapore it's like before you go poly from like N levels there's PFP, right? So there's that in Australia also. So you take 1-year course studying like all 4 subjects or something. Then after that they will send you to an actual degree course, which means like if I went that time, right? After you graduate from O levels is how 16, 17, right?
16, yeah.
16,
Yeah, so means I'll have a degree now if I have went for that course, but it's damn expensive. It's like I think 18,000 per sem or per term or something like that. It's super expensive.
Yeah. I can tell you what it is. Basically you go to, so after your O levels, you go to like at 16 or 17, you go to a college of some sort. You do that college, which is like high school for a year. So when you've graduated from that, you are the same age as all other like citizens. So in Australia, you'll be like graduating the same time as the Australian citizens. I think, if I'm not wrong, then you will go on to do uni. So I have a lot of friends who did that. A lot of people I met who did that. And then I think about like, oh my god, I'm so old. Because they are all like they enter university at 17, 18, like going on 18. They're not even like legal, like some of them when I met them. So I think about, oh my god, I could have had a degree at a much younger age. But the difference is that obviously you went through a more rigorous education system by going through like poly or high school, because when they go to college, they call it like Trinity College, you just do it for a year, so you basically do your O-level subjects a bit more in depth, so it's not very like extensive. But then whether is it worth it, I don't know, like maybe I think it's for us, since we come back to Singapore, it's fine that we don't go through that route. But if you were to consider living there, then maybe it'll be more beneficial for you to go through that route. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, because over there, when I was there, most people do their masters. They don't stop at
Yeah.
degree because they're so young. When they finish their degree, they could easily spend the next 3 years doing their masters. It's not like us; we are
Yeah.
old.
Yeah.
We are what, 23? My friends are 23. We are 23 where by the time we graduate for girls, and then for guys it's way worse. They will be
Oh my
25 or
Yeah, it's like
26. Exactly. So then you have to, different countries have different systems. So then, yeah, one easy way out is to do that college route.
Mhm.
I wish I did that.
Yeah. But I think like to do with universities and stuff, I think nowadays a lot of people do YouTube videos. That's how like I got a lot of info about like NYU Abu Dhabi. Like I go and I just search and I watch people who are in NYU Abu Dhabi. They do like day in the life videos or just like they explain their like what happens in the uni. Like I know there's this girl on YouTube who gets her friends from different majors to explain their major. So then it gives you like insight into what's it about and everything.
Well, that's very good. That's very insightful to explain the different majors.
Yeah, like she gets her friends to come on like talk about it. She even did like videos like about like other unis, not even like NYU, but it'd be like Yale and US. I saw she just put up a video like from her friend in
Oh,
Yale and US.
okay.
Like he did a video talking about it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's very good that we have the internet. Like while I was thinking about it, I was like, imagine if it was 20 years ago and people were
Yeah.
considering studying overseas and they had no like easy access to such information. How are they willing to just jump into it? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So definitely, if you can find creators like that who do videos, that's the best. Because in
Yeah.
videos, you can actually see it for yourself. So yeah, definitely do your homework. Maybe it'll take you a whole year to do your homework. Just take the year off. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's completely fine to take a gap year. Contrary to like Singapore's belief systems. Okay, another thing I wanted to add is completely off topic, but then it's about gap years. You know, gap years are supposed to be years where people take time off, not take the
Yeah.
time to work and gain experience like like we do. So you can't just take a year off and do nothing, right, in Singapore.
Yeah.
But you know, the people I meet there who took gap years, they take a whole year to go travel.
Yeah.
How I wish we could do that.
Yeah.
Like, it's such a foreign concept, right? We would never
Yeah.
think of doing that, right?
Like if I took a gap year, I would at least do a part-time job.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like I don't think Singaporeans will be like, oh, we can go traveling now. Oh, we can just sit around.
God.
I will feel
I
so
don't
uneasy,
understand.
you know.
Yeah. It's like ingrained in our system that we cannot waste time. We always
I
have
want to do that. Like I
working.
want to take a gap year and do nothing, but then like in the back of my mind, I'll be thinking, oh, I'm wasting my time. I'm like,
Yeah. But I think it's a very different culture, that's why. Because to
Yeah.
them, when they take a gap year, it's after high school and they are like 18, 17, 18.
That's also
Yeah.
why yeah.
So I don't know. Have you had any friends who actually done gap years traveling?
Oh, not
I
trying.
don't have any.
I've never heard of anyone who
Same.
did that.
So like, oh my god. None
Yeah.
from like Singapore. I think it's a good thing. It really helps you to like I hate saying this, but to find yourself.
Find yourself.
How
But
deep.
because it really
But
gives you
true though.
time to like ponder and think in a not stressful environment. But obviously you have to like think about how you want to afford your like travels if that's the route you're going for.
Yeah.
If you're not, then like all of us, you took the time off to work and gain experience. So sad. Okay, let's move on. It's so depressing.
Yeah. Okay, so this is just like more lighthearted. It's how do you prepare to leave? Like what should you bring? What should you not bring? Kind of thing.
Okay. Yeah. This one, these are the advice that I wish I had going there. Because sure, I can research on all the schools, the programs, the life there, but all these little things could make a lot of difference. So when you're packing to leave, don't pack so much.
You pack too much.
Oh my god. Okay, let me tell you. No, I didn't pack too much. I actually didn't bring a lot there because I brought my entire computer there. I brought my computer, which was like 7 kg, so I wasn't left with a lot to bring over. So you might be thinking like, okay, can I take an airline that has like student discounts on like basically they allow you to have more baggage. You have to go research. From what I researched, there wasn't any that was going to my destination that could give me like 40 kg baggage allowance on economy air. But I could do that if I went on Scoot and then I added baggage to like 40 kg. So these are things you have to consider, like how much baggage you even have to bring over and whether you even want to do the whole thing of like shipping your things over, which I think is really dumb because your clothes do not weigh that much and you will end up buying so many things there. Like I tell people
Clothes
to
there
pack
is so
light.
cheap.
Yeah. Okay, so what I didn't know, because obviously I've been to Australia before, but I actually have never been to Melbourne before going to Melbourne to study. So I didn't really know how much everything was going to cost in terms of like soap, toiletries, clothes. But what I really see other people do, they'll bring things like tissue paper, thinking that everything will be expensive there. And then I'm like, no, don't bring things like that over. Things that are like disposable, do not bring it there. It is not that much more expensive, contrary to popular belief, because actually groceries and toiletries and everything, it costs quite a bit in Singapore. After you've traveled around, it actually does cost. Things are expensive here, so it will end up costing the same. So you do not need to bring anything there other than clothes. And then because there are 4 seasons, all you need to bring is your summer clothes. You will end up buying your winter clothes and everything, and winter clothes and all that would be much nicer and better there. So pack lights is what I can give
And you can take
advice
it
for.
as a chance to like revamp your wardrobe, like clean up your
Exactly.
clothes.
Yes. It's the time for you to like give up like letting your parents buy you clothes and keeping all the clothes you've kept for 20 years in your childhood, throw them away. I did a whole cleanse. Okay, when I came back, I just brought back everything that I was going to wear on the daily that I already bought in Australia. And then I cleared out the wardrobe that I had from childhood and replaced it with new clothes. So take the time to do that, to buy new things there. So just save up money. And do it there. Don't buy things from Singapore. And then what else do you have to prepare? There's a lot of little things like insurance and all that you have to take care of, and think about how you are going to settle like your banking stuff, and how your parents are going to give you money, or how your money is going to come to you in a foreign country. So those are things you have to think about, because every country has it differently. I would imagine, like in Australia, it was pretty easy for us. Some of the banks actually allow you to transfer money like 0% interest, but some do charge quite a bit. So you have to do your research. Yes. Those are the little things that will matter a lot in the future, by the way.
It's so troublesome. Oh my god.
Yes,
There's
it's
so
a
many
lot.
steps.
It's a lot of steps, but I can tell you it is worth it. It makes you like, it actually teaches you how to deal with things like that, because you eventually deal with all this banking and money and finances thing in your like adulthood. So this is the beginning of it all.
What can you expect from the life there? Were you bored? Or is it too independent?
Okay, let me ask you guys. So what do you envision life there would be like?
For me, right, I don't think I can stay without my family or like my friends in Singapore. Like when you go there, it's usually on your own. Just like I don't think my friends want to travel overseas to study uni, and most of them are already in uni because they went JC. So like I don't think anyone will be there with me. So I have to make new friends and everything. So it's like tiring.
That's true. That's one thing. How about Tara?
Oh, if I go overseas, I'm looking forward to not like to being able to like layer my clothes when it's cold.
That's fun. That's so specific, but honestly,
So that's something I've always wanted to do, but in Singapore, you can't.
yeah, I do agree about the what you would wear. I think it was quite exciting to be dressed up in like hoodies almost every day.
Yeah.
So like the when it gets cold, and thankfully I was in Australia, so it wasn't that cold. But I imagine if you were in the UK, it would be really, really cold.
Yeah.
So I actually did enjoy wearing as much as I hate the cold, I did enjoy wearing winter clothes because you get to be wrapped up in a dumpling, which you don't get to do in Singapore. It's a
No, it's
weird
just way too
like
hot in Singapore
hobby.
too.
Yeah, and winter fashion, fall fashion, spring fashion, it will be a thing, you know.
Yeah.
Every season you will see different like patterns and clothings to fit the weather. It's quite fun, honestly, if you enjoy dressing up.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's one perk
Mm.
of being overseas
Yeah,
and
I'm
studying
also
abroad.
I also like am looking forward if I go overseas to meeting like different kind of people. Like
Mm.
I don't know, seems like different
So
perspectives and things.
Jess is tired of meeting people and Tara is excited to meet people. Well, okay. I can like well, it's not that far from your expectations. You will be meeting a lot of people from a lot of different countries. So when you get out of the bubble, which is Singapore, you will realize that as much as we say that we are very diverse, we are other countries actually are way more diverse and way more cosmopolitan. So when I was in Melbourne, and that's just in Melbourne, you know, I met people from really everywhere, and it's very tiring. Yes, Jasmine, it's tiring. I find it tiring too. But when you listen to them talk about like when you listen to them share about their culture, when you like our university would have like a event just for students from that country, and they'll provide like free food, for example. And you know, like I asked you all to look at clubs and activities because there's always some free food on campus, okay? And you should take advantage of it. So I would be eating food from like different cultures in on campus, and it's so cool. Like I usually would never try to like eat like experiment with my food. I'm kind of lazy like that. But because of all that free events and like food, like some of them you just need to sign up for the clubs on the day itself. There'll be like a barbecue on the lawn, and then you can get to eat free food. So like why wouldn't you? So it's things like that that make it very exciting, like new experiences. It is tiring, so I get tired when I go home. But I recharge and then I come out the next day and then I'm ready to meet people from like all over the world. Yeah. So that's like one part that you get to meet people, very, very different experiences and backgrounds. And I think the next one is yeah, of course, fashion. Yeah. Dressing up is fun. In Singapore, we're kind of limited. I don't know why
Yeah.
this is a part of the a perk, but I think it is for girls, you know. Maybe for guys, maybe
Yeah.
not. But I think for girls, yes. Have you seen like all the Tumblr pictures where they wear like really nice pictures during fall? Yeah, just
Yeah.
imagine that.
No,
You
like
can you can
I
actually do
like
that.
wearing jackets. I like wearing jackets, and like in Singapore it's like
Yeah. Oh my god, we same. Okay, yes. Because when I ask my friends, they're like, "Oh my god, how do you stand wearing long pants the entire day and like
yeah.
wearing a jacket the entire day?" I'm like, "Girl, I love it. I love being wrapped up." So if that's something you're considering, yes, studying abroad would be fun for you. Mainly you'll be very independent. You'll experience true independent life that I think a lot of us don't experience here in Singapore. Because like we're kind of like sheltered, you know, and most of the
Yeah.
time you only experience that life when you move out of home, which a lot of us don't. So if this is a life you want to experience, then yes, you will get to experience that fully, being away from family. So yes, being away from your family is one downside of it. If you're someone that you think you can't deal with that, then maybe it'll be a bit difficult for you unless you're willing to fly back and forth pretty often. So that's an option. Then countries like Australia would benefit you because it's rather near. But if you were in the UK, just imagine how much hours you would spend flying.
Yeah.
Like 13-hour flights to and forth. So yeah, you have to consider that. But I do find the independent life very enticing. That was the whole point for me to
Yeah.
about
Same.
studying abroad. Have you all like? Is that something you will look forward to if you were to
Yeah,
study
like
abroad?
I'm looking forward to because like I guess you have your own dorm room, your own space. You get to just like
Yeah.
I don't know, like
I'm scared of bugs. So it's like I
First
so
world problems.
the thing about living alone, because like okay, one of my choices
that's
if I
true
were to
though.
go overseas, I would think of Australia, because
Mm.
my aunt is there. Then at least like there's a
Mm.
family member there. Then if I feel bored or whatever, or like I want some Singaporean accents or like food or whatnot,
I know how it feels.
Give
Okay,
me your
okay.
Singaporean.
then I can like go and visit them like for like a short trip or something. Then it will
Mm.
still be okay, but like bugs bother me a lot because like my aunt stays
True.
there, right? Then she always says during summer there's like a lot of flies and a lot of
Yeah.
weird insects. Then I'm very scared of those things. And like spiders and oh I can't.
Yeah, I can tell you there are a lot of bugs in Australia, but I also can tell you that when it gets cold, the bugs don't come. So it only comes out in the summer. So that's you
Yeah.
just have to deal with it in the summer when it's hot. And luckily for me, right? Okay, the topic about bugs. I actually rented a place with insect filters on the window, so I didn't have to deal with bugs. No
But
bugs are
when you
coming
go
in.
out,
Life is great. Huh? Or
but
when
when
you
you
go
leave the
out, it's
house,
not a problem because most of the time, like only in the summer you get like mosquitoes and all that. But other than that, it's actually fine. Contrary to popular belief of what Australia is, there are a lot of spiders. Just don't bother them, and they wouldn't bother you. You know what I mean?
but
If they come into your room, then you deal with them. If they
are
don't,
they
then just don't.
really huge spiders?
Yeah, it's pretty. You would see like species you'll never see in your life. It's everything is upsized there.
Yeah, like the lizards are like
Yeah. Okay, I can tell you a story. Like obviously I hate bugs too, and I there was something I considered like if I were really, really to be completely alone, how would I deal with bugs? So during winter I was actually alone in the house, like by myself. There was a freaking cockroach on the balcony where I was hanging my laundry, and I was like, oh my god, I cannot ignore the cockroach. Just imagine the cockroach on my clothes. No, no way. Oh shit, running out of time. But yeah, then I killed the cockroach myself. Okay, I really got up and like be brave and like close my eyes and like did a pep talk and then went out and killed the cockroach. I picked it up with a chopstick and threw it
Oh
away.
my god, a chopstick.
Yeah, I used like the bygone or bagel, whatever you call it. I killed it and then I'm like, it's dead body, it's there. I have to deal
oh my
with
god.
it. No one's gonna come clear it for me because I'm the only one here. You know what I mean? Like my dad isn't gonna clear the cockroach from me anymore. I'm like, so I took a minute and then I used like wooden chopsticks. I picked it up. It was really gross. Yeah, I threw it away. Yeah, but now like because I did that, I'm able to do that again. So I can deal with
Mm.
insects alone now. Yeah. So even though you're afraid, just like tell yourself it's okay. And eventually when you're older, you thank yourself for doing that because now you can deal with anything that life throws at you.
The only thing I really hate is lizards because of like the like squishy.
Yeah. I mean we all have that like we all have our fears. But when you are thrown into that, you realize that you just need to take a step into overcoming that. And then once you get there, actually it's not that bad. It's not,
Yeah,
yeah.
I actually wanted to ask about dorms, like living situation. Like, so you chose to live in off campus, is it?
Mm. So I think in every country it kind of differs. I think the UK, most students go for student housing, question mark, I'm not sure. But for Australia, there is like some sort of student housing, but it's actually a college. Yeah, I don't know how the system works, I forgot. But the fees are also twice the amount you would pay if you were to rent. So I decided to live off campus. There are certain private student housing. So basically apartments mainly just for students. But those were really, really expensive too. Like they were in the CBD, you can walk to school. Like just imagine walking to school. Oh my god, I love that. But they are also pretty pricey. So I decided to just rent like any normal other citizen to just rent. So thankfully that's the thing. I had friends who were going to Melbourne as well. I ended up finding more friends, like friends from my polytechnic club. So
Oh,
it was pretty cool that we all knew each other and we could like experience this together. So if you're able to find friends to go to the place you're going, that'd be great. So we all looked for rental apartments and managed to find one like within a week. And then we got settled in within a month. So if you're looking for rental, that's something you have to deal with, looking for places because it's not guaranteed. You wouldn't think like it would be this hard, but it's very difficult for some reason. When I was there, when I looked at, like, I went to apartment viewing, there will be hordes of people in one apartment, like that's the amount of people looking at the flat who wants to apply to. So the demand was very high for a unit. That's why it's also expensive. So that's something you have to consider. Maybe in other countries it'll be different. Then for student housing, it's almost guaranteed that you'll get a spot and then everything will be settled for you when you arrive. But it also means that you are okay with paying that extra amount for student housing. And a lot of student housing is actually condition wise is pretty bad. You know what I mean? For rentals, there is a certain like standard they have to live up to because obviously if it's clean and everything is well maintained, you get to rent it out at a better price. So you can judge from there. For student housing, it's like you really have to go there and see it for yourself. Because my friends actually moved into student housing and it turned out to be infested with cockroaches.
Hell no.
You know what I mean? Yeah, so student housing is a bit of a hit or miss. But if you don't go the easy route of student housing, means you have to deal with the adulting things of renting a place. So
mm,
pros and cons, my suggestion is to go there first and then recce the place and then come back and then pack your stuff and then go there. Yeah. This is what most people would do, but I didn't do it. I just went to a foreign place like that. It was
Then
quite
when
tough.
you say the when you first reach?
Airbnb. Like
Oh,
we just
Airbnb.
Airbnb until we get our place.
That's smart though.
So yeah, if you have a relative, it's much easier. You just go bunk with your relative until you get permanent place. That is if you want to rent. If it's student housing, you get to move in straight away pretty much. Maybe you just have to rent an Airbnb for a week. Yeah. So that's my experience in Australia. It's definitely going to be different in other places. I imagine, like, for example, I see apartments in like Korea, in Seoul, in the city, you can rent it still for pretty cheap. So housing is different everywhere. Yeah. You have to go really do your research. And my best advice is to ask someone who has already been there.
true.
Yeah.
Do you have to deal with any homesickness?
Oh yeah, about being away from a family.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can say this, but no, I wasn't very homesick. Oh no, don't show this to my dad. But okay, I think homesickness definitely is something we all have to deal with. Because it's quite tough being in a foreign country at that age alone. So my best advice is to like video call your parents and family very often, and then whenever you can, when there's a break, and if you're really really homesick, then you can fly home. There's always a solution to just fly home. But for me, I didn't really fly home very often because my course was only 2 years, so I just went home like twice or once, I forgot. Yeah, but basically that's pretty much you can do. There's not a lot you can deal with in terms of homesickness other than keeping yourself busy. Like just keep yourself busy. And then for me also, because I knew I was going to come back after 2 years, so it was fine. I took it like a 2 years like long vacation. You know what I mean? You don't think about home on vacation. So like it's fine for me, but I know for some people it's pretty tough. So you really have to be ready to deal with it if you were to study abroad. Yeah. Or just like find your family there, your relatives, and you can feel closer to home. And then also, if you have Singaporean friends, then you would hear a Singaporean accent every day. Then you will feel like it's home. So like, okay, it's really odd to say this, but when you're there, obviously the accent is different. And then, the moment you hear like a familiar accent, you're like, hey, you can hear it from. It's like there's this radar. When I was there, after a while, I'll be like, oh my god, I know that accent, and then you will know that you found your fellow man, your fellow countryman. And then another thing is to, other than being with Singaporean friends, like how to find them, right? There's always a society or club in your university for your country. So just sign up and join, and then attend the events and meet the people there, because it's very easy to get acquainted there. Everyone is in foreign land, but you were from the same country. So that's another way you can deal with homesickness, to surround yourself with like-minded accent people. Yeah, but also I do encourage like everyone to like go out of the bubble. It's very easy to go there and then find your comfort zone, which is your fellow countrymen, and then just stick with what you have already been doing in Singapore, and then you don't like explore and venture out and meet other people. It's very easy to do that. So when you do that, then it's such a waste. Like you're in foreign land, you don't experience what the
Yeah.
foreign land give you. So really go out there and meet people. Join clubs that are not just your Singapore society, for example. And then you will meet a lot of people like through clubs and events, and people are like friendlier there for some reason. I don't know, it's pretty easy to strike up a conversation and be acquainted with someone, and people are really cool, like they are very friendly. That's the difference mostly. I'm not sure about other countries because I've only been there. Yeah. Yeah, on the topic of culture, anyway, yeah, of course, there's a lot of culture shock. That's something you have to deal with. I think if you are not going to an Asian country, there's quite a bit of culture shock. No, even in an Asian country, you will still experience some sort of culture shock.
Yeah.
But there are definitely gonna be embarrassing moments when you first arrive. But you just have to live and learn. If you've never
What
been to the
happened?
country,
What embarrassing incident happened to you?
like obviously, I think in Singapore, I don't know if I can say this, but we're a bit more like reserved. We wouldn't be very like friendly and open to strangers. But over there, you are kind of forced to speak to people, which I did wasn't very comfortable in the beginning. So when you're there, everyone would say like, "Hi, how are you going?" That's the standard greeting. Like no one ever says how you're going in Singapore. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like service staff, and then I'm forced to be like, "I'm great. I'm fine. Thanks. How are you?" So I have to like learn things like that, and that's something you have to get used to when you're in that country. You have to learn the country's like customary greetings. Okay, this it's a thing. Like every country has their own way of greeting people. In Singapore, it's just like hi or no greeting,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Just
So,
nod your
but
head and walk away.
yeah, and
They
it's
just
totally fine,
bow their
right?
head and smile.
Yeah, nobody gets like offended when you don't say anything. But over there, you kind of have to, unless you're okay with them treating you the same way, because they'll be very cold to you if you're very cold to them. Makes sense. So that's culture shock number one, being very social, which I didn't know how to do, because obviously I've been living in my bubble in Singapore. But then once you learn how to be like more open and friendly and talk to strangers, that's one. Then it's pretty cool, because you get to get random conversations with random people, and it's quite interesting the things that they would share to a stranger. But yeah. So and then other than that, you obviously like going from an Asian country to a Western country, the culture of studying and work ethic is so different. So in school, people are very willing to talk. You know, in like I'm not sure if this happens to you guys, but in class, the teachers often have to like force us to talk in Singapore, right?
True, yes.
Like it's always like, anyone want to share, and then nobody shares, and then okay, you.
Nobody
You
raises
in
up their
the-
hand. Everyone's like staring away.
yeah,
Don't
exactly.
take
I don't
me,
see
don't
you.
take me.
Exactly right, and then they'll point out people based on the name list. I mean, it still happens, but when I was in my classes, people are very willing to talk and share, even though sometimes like maybe they go off topic. It's like random conversation, and then but the teachers are fine with that. In like most of the time in classes here, when someone starts to like go off topic or like talk about something irrelevant or ask a stupid question, sometimes they get shot down.
Yes,
Yeah.
Or
I
like
think this is the
Yeah.
reason why like students don't dare to raise up their hands to talk in
Right.
Singapore. Because
yes,
teachers sometimes be a bit judgmental, like
yes.
against
Oh
your
my
answers and stuff. It's very, I don't know, it gives me anxiety before I answer a question. It's like, what if I'm wrong?
yeah, it's not necessarily the teachers, but I think in general, like like maybe your friends who judge you for asking such
True.
I
questions
think
or
we are
saying
just very
something.
cautious.
Yeah,
Yeah.
not necessarily a bad thing though, because yes, people do ask them questions sometimes, but like when I was in my classes, right, I don't get that experience of being shot down if I were to say something random or just to like have a conversation, because we could have conversations about, like, for example, I majored in like screen studies, so we'll be talking about movies quite often. Then we will be talking off topic about how much we like the movie, about spoilers, about like things that are more exciting, basically. But and the teachers are okay with that. They will obviously try to steer the conversation back to where it was supposed to be, but it tends to be more allowing to talk about random things. Yeah. And to raise random ideas that maybe doesn't make sense, but they basically be like, oh yes, that's a really good topic, or that's a really good point. Does anyone else have anything to add to that? Something like that, So it's very encouraging. Yeah, encouraging is the word. Yeah, which I feel like I don't really get in classes here. But also like different culture has different like ways of doing things. I think over here you really get to the point. That's a plus point. Like we don't beat around the bush. Over there, and sometimes we do beat around the bush quite a bit. So yeah, that's the main culture shock in terms of schooling. Yeah, and then but I really do appreciate the more like encouraging environment. It's really up to the individual. If you find that it's a waste of time, then it will be a waste of time to you. Yeah, but it makes school more exciting for me to come to class and then like talk about something I like. Like I studied screen studies, so I could come to school and class and talk about the Avengers movie that I watched yesterday. It's exciting.
Yeah.
In
And we
Singapore, they'll
would
be just like, oh, today we are going to be talking about this. And then they just go through the whole theory part. We don't even get to share like anything
yes.
interesting.
Yeah, and then not that it happens all the time lah, but sometimes we we tend to be a bit more straight to the point. Like there will always be like a PowerPoint, like a slideshow, and then we talk point by point by point. But and I'm not sure because we never actually attended university in Singapore, so I would imagine it's a bit more different than poly. Because in Singapore, I heard from my friends that there are also participation score. So actually, people do participate quite a bit.
Oh
So
yeah,
maybe
in
we are
for
We
Jaz
missing
and
have
I
that.
to do it
there's
in our
cause
poly.
yeah.
Yeah. I have that too. But still, no one wants to participate, so I don't know. Okay, we are saying all this like in a very sweeping manner. Okay, it's not 100%, but it's just what we generally feel from the different cultures. So yeah, I do feel it's a bit more encouraging and open there, and it makes me excited to go to class there.
Yeah. And I also feel like when you talk about it, like have a conversation about it, you tend to remember it better than just
Yeah.
you stare at the screen and you read the
Because
Yeah,
when you
yeah,
have a
yeah.
conversation, then it's better for you. It's like more relatable because like you can connect this topic to something that you like yourself.
yeah.
So it's like
Yeah.
that topic will be much easier to remember. rather than
And
just
you
read
would,
something off.
you will be more like you concentrate more in class. That's what I feel. Like when we start the class with talking about something fun, and then I'm able to get the mood, get into the mood of studying, and I have more interest for that day's topic.
Yeah.
And then because it's very conversational, right? It's not just us, though we tend to like read notes and then we write notes and then we bring it to the class and share our like topics thoughts about that. It does still happen, but because it's very conversational, you're able to just think on the spot. And you don't have to always be reading a note and then like
Yeah.
just talking about theory all the time. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, so definitely. But when it comes down to essays, it's the same. Okay, it's the same grind. You know the grind, right? It's just
Yeah.
research.
But again, it's studying, so it's like I wouldn't mind
Yeah.
it because it's like confirm need to do one. There's no excuse.
Yeah, that
to
one
be
is
like
the same
all fun.
everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the same system and the way it's done. There's consultations, but the difference is that I think compared to a polytechnic level, at university everywhere, it's something you have to do on your own basis. Like for my course, there was like compulsory consultations. Like they will arrange a time slot for everyone and everyone must turn up. But when I was in university, I didn't have to turn up for consultation if I feel I didn't need it. You know what I mean? So in uni, you really have to take your own initiative to do things. I'm very sure this is not just applicable to my uni. It's just a university level thing. Yeah.
I think for us also, like some of my classes in poly, like nearing the end, they'll be like, you can just book a time slot. You don't. It's not compulsory to come. But I was always so like paranoid, so I just book a consultation, even if I have really like not much to say.
Very kiasu, right? The typical
Yeah.
kiasu student life.
It's just Singaporeans.
Yeah, but definitely I see this attitude. Okay, I'm generalizing again, but I do see this Singaporean work ethic sometimes in class. Obviously, when there are other Singaporeans or like Asians, that they are the more hardworking ones, and it does pay off. Like tutorials, sometimes there are presentations, and sometimes we come a bit more ready. Like our work is more complete, you know. So it does pay off to have that Singaporean work ethic. Okay, your classmates will be like, "Wow, you are so prepared," and you're like, "Yeah." So that's something you have to deal with. I think their work ethic is a bit more lax. Not that it's a bad thing, because honestly, the students I met there are so smart. They are so bright. The things they say in class, I could never. So maybe they don't have that very hardworking. No, maybe they're not as hardworking as us because we're quite kiasu, but they have very like bright ideas. Sometimes I look at them and like, wow.
I think Singaporeans are more of like book smart, and then they are like more street smart.
Yeah,
That's why they
definitely
come
see
up
that.
with more creative answers than we do.
Because obviously I went to to do an arts degree. Okay, this is not applicable to everyone else who does science or business or whatever. So in arts, it's really all about your creativity. And sometimes I see, wow, I totally see the difference in culture. Okay, how they are able to think out of the box is amazes me. Yeah, so I think that's something you will face in any other country you go to. That there will always be some kind of work ethic difference. And then when you work in groups, that's something you have to deal with. But really, you just take it as it goes. Don't stress about it. It's just about your money first, and it's just about finding a place
Money
there.
again.
Yeah, it's really the first step, to studying abroad. If studying abroad was free, everyone would do it. Like,
Yeah.
who wouldn't? Yeah. So really, I think a lot of people ask me, like, to end off this podcast, a lot of people ask me if it was worth it. Like, that's the big question. Was it worth it? I would say for me, it was. Because I feel like it was an experience that I could only get at that point of time in my life as a student, when I don't have to worry about my bills yet, and that when I was like becoming a young adult, you know. But then if you're talking about like ROI, which is return on investment, then obviously it's not very high. It's not gonna be like, oh, because obviously I took an arts degree, okay? Maybe if you were to study medicine or somewhere along that line where you will come back and reap all reap all the rewards from your investment. But no, if you take an arts degree, do not expect to come back and like be able to work back the money fast. Yeah. So, and also a lot of people do see going overseas as an investment to relocate themselves. Like they want to work there, they want to live there. Then that's when I think the ROI is high, because to be a student there allows, like, opens more doors for you in terms of jobs. So once you've worked there are certain visas that once you've studied there are certain visas that allows you to get work. So if you're not a student, it's going to be very difficult for you to find work just if you go there and apply for a job immediately. So that's when I think, yeah, it's worth it if you continue working there, and then, you know, like, you get that to experience work culture there. But if you're like me, then you just come back home directly, then yeah, not a lot of ROI. I say ROI because the funny thing is my dad, before I left, he sent me a list of degrees with high ROIs, and I'm like, Dad, I'm taking an arts degree. Okay, do not talk to me about ROI. Because obviously it's his money, and then he's like, I'm a little bit worried for you. Like, we're spending a lot of money, but will you get it back? And then his data sent me a whole web page about like high ROI degrees. So obviously banking and finance is up there. And I'm like, Dad, what are you talking about? Why are you sending me this? So yeah, that's something you have to talk to your parents about also, because they are the ones spending the money. And are they okay with the choice of studies you take? But yeah, I totally think if anyone can afford to do it, they should do it. That's the main point, you know. Or go on exchange. So obviously, if you're in public uni, there's this like semester where you can go abroad, and I highly recommend everyone to do it. It's great. I sometimes think we live in like a bubble here in Singapore. Everything is so sheltered. Everything is so
it is.
great, right?
Everything is spoon-fed to us. Like everything is just there. It's not like hard. It's that our parents just want the best for us, so they give us the best, and then we just take it.
Yeah. The plus point of like Asian parenting. That they really care for us. They want the best for us. They do everything for us. So, and of course, in Singapore, we have very good living conditions. Like, we are very fortunate to be in such like everything is just great and efficient. But when you go overseas, sometimes you have to deal with like a bit more like inefficient things sometimes, you know. That's where I think you actually learn. So actually going overseas is not so much about your education, but more so how your life there is like and what you learn from it. Does that make sense? Yeah, I definitely like got the most out of my independent life there, because the moment I came back, I'm like, I know how to cook, I know how to do my laundry, I know how to pay my bills, I know what renting a place is like, I know what like managing my finances is like. Yeah, so give
I'm
and
actually
take.
excited to do that, like do my own laundry and like cook my own things and like do my own things.
Yeah, I don't know why. I really enjoyed that, you know.
I just want to do my own stuff.
Now that I'm back, I cannot get used to life before I left. So now I basically do everything myself. Still, I do my own laundry, I do my own washing, I do everything myself. So it's the same. I've picked up all that good habits because I went overseas. If I didn't go overseas, I'll still be living in my bubble. I wouldn't do all that. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, unfortunately, we don't have like couldn't get a university student, like local university student, to come on board and share their experience and like compare.
Anybody else in the team.
Yeah. So if we're able to get that, maybe sometime down the line, like get someone on, then that'd be great. But hopefully you guys got something out of it. Yeah, I still do think it's worth going overseas if you can.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So hopefully the viewers got something out of this as well. And then yeah, we'll see you next week in the next podcast. What's next week's topic? Yeah, something along the line of renting and like housing. So look forward to that. Millennial talk, okay, about housing, which is a really big topic
Yeah.
for people my age. So yes, we'll see you next week. Bye. Don't forget to like and subscribe and ring the notification bell. And definitely do follow us on Instagram. Look out for Creators Hunt this week and what you have to do to win a Rode mic. Oh my god, what are you waiting for? Like, it's such a good prize and it's so easy to get. You just need to rake up points, get the most points by the end of the week or end of the month, and then you get the prize. Hello. Okay, bye.